Today I want to help you figure out if the smallest version of the current iPhone lineup is a good option for you. We will speak about the good, the bad and the ugly about this phone. Without any further ado, let's get started! The current iPhone lineup includes 4 variants: the regular iPhone 12, the Pro version iPhone 12 Pro, its bigger brother the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and the smallest version of all, the iPhone 12 mini. Now let's talk about design. So Apple went full-flat design this year. As for the build and materials, the body is composite of aluminum, which makes the phone pretty light. As most of the phones in the market these days, the front and the back are made out of glass, with the difference that the front glass is made out of Apple calls ceramic shield, which should be up to 4 times more resistant. Well, I have seen many tests and it seems that the glass is a little bit more resistant to impact and a little bit hard to shatter. But in terms of scratch resistance, it's pretty much the same as the other phones. So bottom line, get a screen protector if you don't want to accumulate scratches over the time. If you want to know more about which screen protector to buy, Mr. Who's the Boss made an interesting video comparing the cheap against the expensive screen protectors, so worth checking that out. The iPhone mini has a 5.4 OLED display with a 476 ppi, which means the screen is pretty sharp. In terms of brightness, it is rated as 625 nits for maximum brightness, and it can reach 1200 nits max brightness for HDR content. So just for you to have a baseline for comparison, most of the phones in the market these days, they can reach between 600 to 850 nits average. For example, the iPhone 12 Pro Max achieving around 830 nits for max brightness during the typical usage. So translating all of this to the real world scenario, this means that when you are using the phone outside, you might struggle a little bit to see the screen during the direct sunlight. Now let's talk about the processor. One thing that I have to say, this phone is pretty fast. I have to say kudos to Apple for not limiting the small variant of the iPhone and utilizing the same powerful chip that we can find in the bigger Pro variants. This generation brought the A14 Bionic chip, which is equipping the latest and fastest generations of the iPhones to this date. So this chipset has also included the neural engine for handling the artificial intelligence tasks, such as understanding spoken commands, analyzing images, and collecting relevant information for a large amount of data. Interesting fact is that the A14 shares a lot of similarities in its architecture and chip design with the M1 processor, which is the processor powering the latest Macs. The current version of the iOS is the iOS 14. I have been an Android user and iOS user for many years and I do appreciate both platforms. It's always nice to be able to see, to test and understand its functionalities, the core strengths and weaknesses. iOS has a lot of good things and usability has always been great. However, the bit that lagged behind for many years was always related to customization and its flexibility. Things that apparently started to change lately and it's very much appreciated. For many years Android users have been able to customize their home screens. I'm not saying changing wallpapers only. There has been many applications designed specifically to manage the home screen look and feel, allowing users to change icons, locations and add widgets to the home screen. So the good news is that Apple finally started going to this direction. Of course a little bit in their way. Finally we can have widgets in the home screen, and also we have the option to enable the app library as the last page in the home screen, which makes a very good categorization of apps and eliminates the need of creating numerous folders to organize your app icons. Another appreciated addition was the possibility of defining the default apps for certain tasks. So now we can finally select default apps for email and web browser. So let's talk about camera. The smaller version of the iPhone comes with 2 cameras, one being the wide angle and the other the ultra wide, which is good for landscapes and group shots. What is missing here is the telephoto zoom lens, which is present in the other variants of the phone. Both camera sensors come with 12 megapixels. I'm not going into the debate about megapixels count. This phone against the other phone. The thing is, the pictures out of this phone are pretty darn good. As for the video recording, the iPhone remains the king of the smartphones. It can record 4K video from 24 frames per second up to 60 frames per second. It can also record 1080p videos from 24 frames per second up to 60 frames per second. Let's talk about the battery now. This is where we get into the ugly territory. This smartphone is so small and it wouldn't be possible to achieve such portability without some compromises. In this case, one of the compromises had to be on the battery size. The iPhone mini has a 2227 mAh battery, which is not big and it's not a surprise given the size of this phone. Though I do believe that Apple tried to keep a good balance here. I won't go into the very detailed comparison as there are plenty of comparison videos, and to be honest, battery consumption is very subjective and can vary a lot from person to person. All I can say is that in the day-to-day usage, comparing to the other phones, this one falls short and I cannot finish the day with the battery left for the next day. Don't get me wrong though, I'm not saying that the battery life is horrible in this phone. Just keep in mind if you are a heavy user, you might need a few top-ups along the day or charge it overnight. So let's get to the conclusions. Should I recommend this phone? Hell yes, definitely yes. So is it for everyone? No, this is definitely a phone that is not for everyone. This is a phone for people that are searching for something small, portable, and not huge like the latest smartphones releasing during the past few years. This is a phone for people that are willing to accept some compromise, such as the shorter battery life in exchange for portability. It's a throwback to the times where phones could be handled with one hand only. And for me, it's a joy to use. So that's it for today, and I hope you enjoyed. And if you like, hit the subscribe button and see you in the next one.